does not prove chickens are related to mosquitoes. What they do in school, they show the kids hundreds of examples of variations within the same kind and make them believe it goes beyond that.
Yeah.
These goats here are called Tennessee fainting goats. When they get scared, their knees lock up.
I thought that's what they look like.
They lock up and their knees
Yo, you
fall
stay
over.
away from me. You don't want me.
That emu's after you, Dave.
I don't know why.
It
Emu.
likes you.
So will he bite me? Will any of these bite me?
Oh yeah, everything will bite.
I don't have teeth. The
Let's
chickens
see,
are.
there's the two miniature horses. The alpacas today are.
They're only down the road.
Oh yeah, right there.
Aw.
They're just
Guinea hens and
That's what he was saying. They have the peacock just running around. So a lot of people use those for like alarms.
yeah. Oh, they're noisy.
Yeah.
There are quite a few.
Somebody's around.
There are quite a few peacocks. A lot of people don't know this, but peacocks don't lay eggs.
Really?
The peahen lays them. Oh, the peacock is the male. All right, come on, let's go feed the Millie.
Yo, he's stupid. He's
They're to death. Come on there. Here, get a handful of this. You'll lick it right out of your hand.
They're just like pets.
Yo, let's have something to do.
We ain't got enough land, or I would. If I had more property.
He is a crafty.
Here's a pig. She's hogging it off.
I'd say I want to put that.
Hey, Kent, are all these adults?
Yeah. Well, these are Vietnamese potbelly pigs. You can tell their belly is hanging on the ground. When they slaughter pigs, they use the hairs to make paintbrushes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Perfect paintbrush. What's up there, dog, Millie? Yeah.
That's what they use. That's what they make paintbrushes out
I did not know that.
of. I didn't either.
Wow.
Yo, wait, what is in there? Are those peacocks?
Peacocks.
Peacocks, yep.
So that one just got out
Well, they come and go.
as they want, kind
We
of.
got a couple outside, a couple inside. And
That one.
couldn't walk in here without a machete. It was like this. And the guy called 4.5 years ago. He said, Kent, I saw your videos. You changed my life. I said, good. That's what I'm trying to do. He said, how can I help your ministry? I said, well, we're trying to buy property in Alabama, build a Christian camp. There's the stuff I need right there. He said, have you found what you want? I said, yeah, yesterday. 140 acres. He wants $250,000. The guy on the phone said, all right, I'll buy it for you.
No way.
Jeez.
Wow.
Hey, that's God right there.
Go, 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 go. You're gonna get hurt. Out in front of it.
I have a few employees like that.
Yeah, you do?
Well, I used to. Now they can't get employees nowadays.
Isn't that sad? You see my sermon on how to make money and spend it God's way?
Yeah.
The 4 kinds of workers? Yeah. Oh,
How often do you get them?
Very beautiful.
Except with the green.
guys,
Why? What's wrong with the green?
beavers are amazing animals. They never stop growing. And their teeth never stop growing. If they don't chew on something, it will kill them. The front of the tooth is hard enamel, the back is soft. Every time they chew, it shaves off the back and sharpens their teeth. Self-sharpening teeth. God thought of it first. But the beaver likes to plug up the pipe between the legs because he wants his water deeper. And we keep telling him, do not plug up the pipe, but he doesn't understand. So we're going to get a little ball bat and explain it to him in universal language. Everybody speaks ball bat. Yes, sir. All right, now when we got the property, this lake was gone. The dam at the other end had broken. So while the lake was gone, we built the dock over there because we thought it might be hard to dig post holes underwater. And it is, by the way. Sometimes you get an opportunity, you got to take it right now. It'll be gone tomorrow, right? We also built the island out there with the old boat on it. Right past that boat, there's a skeleton sitting in a chair. His name is Slim. We have a sign right next to him that says, "I'm waiting for the perfect woman." Gonna be a while, Slim. Gonna be a while. All right, let's go. Hop that big white thing on top of the hill. Look to the left of it and way back in the trees. It's laying down up there, 2,000 feet away. We don't know. We don't know if it's going to work or not. See, don't tell anybody, but there really isn't a plan around here. What I do, I eat a lot of pizza with peanut butter on it before I go to bed. And you wake up at 2 in the morning with really cool ideas. That's how I got my daughter, but that's another story. Okay, let's go. Up in, everybody. Roads. All over the county, there's 400 miles of dirt roads in this county. When they got done digging out the gravel, they had more sand than anybody wanted, so they left great big huge sand piles.
Whoa.
We really like playing on them. Anyway, then they reclaimed the land. They put in the lakes, the trees. See, the trees are in a nice straight line. Whenever you see a row of trees like this, you know, hey, somebody planted this, right? I don't know why they can't look through a microscope at a brain cell and say, you know, maybe somebody designed that too. They don't want to see that. But anyway, so there are 10 lakes on the property, all kinds of fishing, boating, everything's free. We just work on donations. But all over the southeast where these green squares are, these are counties where they raise pine trees as a crop. Like peanuts and soybeans and corn, they raise pine trees. You got to wait longer to get it. But they raise them for telephone poles, for lumber, and for paper. Grind up for paper. All right, now do y'all want to take the real tour or the grandma tour?
Real tour.
Make up a new number every time. We had a storm came through about a year and a half ago and blew that tree down. And I said, now wait a minute. The storm came through. Why didn't it blow that one down? And that one, and that one, and that one, and all of them. Why did that one fall over and not this one? Well, trees have two kinds of roots. The deep root that goes down for strength, called the taproot, and the surface roots that go out to get the water. This guy sent out surface roots and hit the lake. He said, oh hey, I got all the water I need. I don't need to work anymore. Didn't put down deep roots. A lot of people are just like that. Their whole life is shallow. All they think about all day is video games and toys and sports and trinkets. They don't have any deep roots in their life. They're going to fall over when the storm hits. Hit some deep roots. Now, he didn't give up though. He's still hanging in there. He's alive 2 years like that, I think. He's on welfare, leaning on his buddies, but oh well. All right, now, guys, there are 10 lakes on the property. We did not check all of them, but we did check this one. We know for sure that the water goes all the way to the bottom. Cows in Alabama do not give milk.
What?
You have to take it from them. Well, right? Okay. That tree over there is called a quince tree. Q-U-I-N-C-E.
I just hold one saying
It produces a fruit that looks kind of like an apple, but it's as hard as a brick. But if you cook it at 4 million degrees for 7 years, it softens up a little bit. And you can make quince jelly, quince jam, quince pies. Anybody ever had one of them? It is really good. You know, some people are kind of hard-headed, and God has to soften them up a little bit before he can do anything with them. And then they're fine, right?
I'm living testimony to that.
Kazoo.
Kazoo is an amazing vine. It grows a foot a day. You can watch it grow. It's mind-boggling. They brought it in from Japan in 1876. They thought it'd be a good idea. Said, man, this will stop erosion on hillsides. Well, it is taking over the whole southeast United States. It's destroying 150,000 acres a year. Kudzu. Have you ever had what you thought was a good idea, turned out later that was not a good idea?
Yeah.
Kudzu. Now you can eat it. The roots are like a potato. You can eat them. The goats love it. The turtle, the tortoise loves it. If you want to pick a little bit, throw it in the back of your buggy. We'll feed Turbo when we get back. He loves it. But it was not a good idea to bring it into America.
Yeah, you can't get rid of it.
You can't get rid of it. Now, well, you try. Go ahead. The way it kills the tree, it'll grow over the trees and it blocks all the sunlight. It just grows faster. You might have something in your life that's blocking out your time. You can't read the Bible, can't pray anymore because you got something else blocking out the time, like a stupid video game or something like that. All right, last one is no good. Let's go. All right, when we got the property given to us 4 years ago, this lake was gone. The dam down there where the two pipes are had broken, and the whole lake drained out in 10 minutes. While the lake was gone, we built a small dam across right here where the bridge is. Here's a picture of our little dam. It was 3 feet high. That was to hold the water so we could work on the big dam. About 2.5 years ago now, Christmas Eve, almost 3 years ago, we were done fixing the big dam. I said, all right, guys, get the cameras, watch this. I cut a notch in the top with my shovel. There it is right there. Let the water start coming over the top of the dam. In 4 minutes, the notch was 8 feet wide.
Wow.
In 7 minutes, the whole dam was gone, washed it out. Now they're going to tell you kids in school it took millions of years to make Grand Canyon. That is what we call baloney. Grand Canyon's a washed out dam, like ours, only theirs is bigger, like lots bigger, right? Here's the dam across Arizona called the Kaibab Plateau with Grand Canyon cutting right across it. If you plugged up Grand Canyon right now today, a great big lake would fill up behind it, a big lake. Here's what it would look like. There's Grand Canyon. This lake would be 5,000 feet deep. Our lake was 3 feet deep. Once that started going over the top, it washed out Grand Canyon in less than a week. They're going to tell you in school it took millions of years. That is absolute baloney. In St. Louis, they had a place to hold water for the city called the Tom Sauk Reservoir. It got too full, 2005. Water went over the top, washed out one section. It lost 1.5 billion gallons of water in 10 minutes.
1.5 billion in 10
Billion.
minutes.
10 minutes. This reservoir in Indiana is huge. Those are semi-trucks on there. It got too full, went over the top, washed out a section, drained the whole reservoir in 10 minutes. Now there's a little creek running to the bottom of that gash. Did that creek make that gash? No, it just runs through it, right? This little river did not make Grand Canyon. It just runs through the crack. Earlier this summer, Wixom Lake up in Michigan overflowed the dam, washed out the dam right there. It lost 21 billion gallons of water in 1 hour. Grand Canyon formed in less than a week. Don't let them tell you it took billions of years. Now, if you want to come swimming here, you turn that pump on. It pumps water down that black tube. You put the kid in the top and shoot him out the bottom. We call it the royal flush.
Yes.
And over that telephone pole is coming 2 cables coming across the lake for zip lines. Now, if you go down the zip lines, hold your feet in front of you, and if you can hit the water at just the right angle, it'll give you a wedgie that'll last a week. The record is 10 days. All right, let's go.
Oh my goodness.
Now I gotta call the vet.
I think you're gonna need more than a vet.
That crooked tree over there, that crooked tree teaches 3 great lessons. When it was little, something got in its way. It decided to go around it. Lesson number 1, you got problems in life, go around it and keep growing, okay? Lesson number 2, if you start off life crooked, you can always straighten up. Lesson 3, if you want to straighten up, you got to do what the tree did. Follow the light. Jesus is the light of the world. The Bible's the light to our feet. If you follow the light, you can straighten out any mess. It's amazing. All right, right beside us over here is Pearl Lane, our street. It dead ends up here into our side street, Winstonville Road. They were digging gravel out of here for 50 years. They dug all the gravel and they stopped right up here because they're going to hit the road. They moved all the trucks down about 3 blocks. They're still digging gravel down in the woods. We're going to go over 7 layers of gravel. When we get to the edge, I'll show you how those layers formed from Noah's flood. All right, last one in, pays for the gas. Now, listen, if you come swimming here, you're welcome to come swimming. There's a cliff over here. I need to warn you, if you fall off the cliff, it will not hurt. But when you stop falling, that is going to hurt really bad. So the secret is don't stop. and you'll be
You
fine.
can't stop falling. It's gravity.
Well, gravity makes you fall. It don't make you stop, though.
Yeah, you can't
The
stop falling.
dirt will make you stop, yeah. Anyway, now y'all sure you want the real tour, right?
Yeah! No! No!
Okay. All you drivers, follow me. Keep moving no matter what. Let's go. We stocked all the lakes 4 years ago. One of the guys caught a bass. Hey, brother, hold your hand up over there, would you? That fish was that far from the boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Drew healthy in there.
What?
All right, hop in, follow me. George and his buddies will very slowly turn all this back into good soil. Pines can grow where nothing else can grow. They're amazing. They reclaim useless land. God might put you in a tough spot sometime. Maybe he needs you there to reclaim some useless land. I spent nearly 9 years in prison. Okay, Lord, if that's what you want. I don't like it, but I didn't know anything wrong either to go. But we're still working on all that. Anyway, so some people have to grow up in a rough family, a rough country. I wouldn't want to be a Christian kid in China or North Korea right now. Yeah. Anyway, come on over, have a seat, or stand where you can see the charts here. I'll show you. There are gravel, 7 layers of gravel. There's gravel, sand, clay, gravel, sand, clay, gravel, sand, clay. It keeps repeating all the way to North Carolina. How did that form? Well, right now the moon pulls the water up on the earth and makes the high tide. The moon holds that water like a magnet, like it holds a bump of water, the high tide. We turn around once a day. So we're going to see high tide, low tide, high tide, low tide, over and over. It would be every 6 hours, except the moon's also moving once a month around the earth. So it ends up 6 hours, 12 and a half minutes. So the big question is, who cares, right? Anyway, so the moon holds that bump of water like a magnet while we spin around. Well, right now the tide starts coming up and it bangs into stuff like North America or South America. The tide gets interrupted by the continents. If the earth were not covered, if the earth were totally covered in water, like during Noah's flood, nothing to interrupt it, the tide, instead of going up 4 or 5 feet like it does in Pensacola, goes up 4 or 5 feet, comes down. With no interruptions, the tide would quickly become harmonic and it would go up 200 feet. If the water came up 200 feet and then went back down 200 feet in 6 hours, 12 and a half minutes, where's all the water coming from to fill that big bump? Sideways. Water has to constantly be going sideways based on the pull of the moon's gravity, but it's going sideways at the same speed the earth is turning for a couple hours. We're in Lenox, Alabama. We're 31 degrees above the equator. We're turning almost 900 miles an hour. If the water was rushing into that bump at 900 miles an hour, what would that do? Well, it would take all the rocks and roll them against each other like a rock tumbler. How many have ever seen a rock tumbler before? It would round them off. Everybody grab a rounded rock by your feet or on the bench. They're all over here. Oh, wait a minute. This thing got tumbled around in Noah's flood.
It looks like a dinosaur.
Rounded rock. There's rounded gravel all over the world, and nobody's asking the simple question, why is it rounded? It was tumbled around. They call it river rock. That's a big river from here to North Carolina. I think it's more like a flood. Now, everybody be completely quiet. Get your rock, and I want you to listen to it. Quiet, try it. It's playing rock music. Hard rock. Did you hear it? Mine's playing Silent Night, I think. Anyway, these rocks were going to cry out one day. We were testimony to the flood. You didn't believe in the flood, did you? Yeah. Now, these rocks are often found in layers. All over the world, the earth has layers. Layer of gravel, sand, clay, distinct layers. Every time a group comes, we shake this thing up. And it always settles out in gravel, sand, clay. Gravel, sand, clay. Gravel, sand, clay. Every time we shake it. Always, same order. Gravel, sand, clay. I bet it'll do it again if we give it a minute. Every time a group comes, we shake this thing up, flip it over, get the air bubbles out of there. It'll make 20 or 30 different layers. Now wait a minute. There's only 4 different colors of sand. Black, dark blue, light blue, and white. It'll make 30 or 40 layers. Water just does that. These layers of gravel were formed by the water rushing in and out sideways. They're going to tell you kids in school about the geologic column. How many have ever heard of Jurassic Park, the movie Jurassic Park?
I love those movies.
Did you know there's no such thing as a Jurassic period? It's all baloney. All the layers are the same age. They tell the kids in school the top layer is younger. Oh, really? Where did it come from? Outer space? No. All the layers is the question. Is the top layer younger than the bottom layer?
No.
No. If you shuffle a deck of cards, is the top card younger?
No.
Oh. There's no such thing as a geologic column. And after the water's done rushing in, it sits still for about an hour during high tide, and all the small stuff will settle out and make a layer of clay. These buckets are full of clay right here from our gravel pit. They take clay and squeeze it into squares and bake it, make bricks out of it. Bricks made out of clay. If you bake it at a higher temperature, it turns to ceramic tile. Same thing, made out of clay. Women put this stuff on their face.
No, they don't.
They call it makeup. Yeah, they do. Which is fine. Every old barn needs a coat of paint once in a while. Okay. Now, when you travel along the beach, you will find about a billion seashells, right? You hardly ever find a matched pair. Because as soon as it dies, it opens and something eats it, right? Did you know all over the world, petrified clams are found in the closed position? Petrified, closed clams. Now, wait a minute, hold it. That thing had to be buried alive. Because as soon as a clam dies, it opens and something eats it. The seagulls or the crabs or the fish, right? The only way you're going to get a closed, petrified clam is to bury it quickly while it's alive. So if the water came up 200 feet, it would come rushing in at 900 miles an hour. It would make a layer of mud in 10 minutes and bury the clams alive. When they climbed the tallest mountain in the world, anybody know the name of that one? Mount Everest. That's what they found on top, right here. Petrified, closed clams. All kinds of sea creatures on top of Mount Everest. Now, wait a minute. Mount Everest is a little ways from the beach. And clams don't climb mountains very good. When they climbed the mountains in Peru, South America, 2 miles above sea level, they found giant oyster shells. One of them was 11.5 feet. Wow. That's a big oyster. A really big oyster. See, the devil doesn't want you to believe in the flood, because then you'll believe, oh man, God can judge his creation. I better get my heart right with God. He don't want you to believe that. So, any questions? If you squeeze these clams right on this part right here, they will bite. Anybody else have wet socks like me? Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Don't eat that. Okay?
No.
All right, so kids, there's no such thing as a geologic column. It's baloney. All these layers formed in 1 year. Tide going up and down, racing in and out, would make thousands of layers. All over the world, petrified trees are found standing up, connecting all the layers. Excuse me, they're telling me the top layer is younger than the bottom layer? How long would a dead tree stand there before it fell over? 4 or 5 years, maybe? Not millions of years? No. Proof. The layers are the same age, within a few months. Well, the flood would do that in 1 year. Noah was in the ark for a year. All right, hop in, everybody. Let's go. Four-wheel drive. Here's what you got to do. You got to build up speed before you get there and keep moving. This is like your homework. If your homework's due on Friday, don't wait till Thursday to open the book. Build up a little speed before Friday.
What?
How many of you ever waited till the last night to try to read the whole book and do the book report in one night? Put your hand up there, sir.
Raise it, David.
Come on, put your hand up. This is like your bills, too. If your bills are due on the 30th, don't wait till the 29th to start thinking about them.
Okay, tell them to put their hands on them.
You can learn a lot from the sand dune if you pay attention. Now, the Kubota may not make it. Build up speed. If it won't do it, go around, find a shallow spot. Everybody else, put it in four-wheel drive. Hit it hard. Let's go. It was $100 a night, but a few months ago we added the cable and the dish on the front. So with cable and dish, $120 a night. I think it's open tonight if somebody wants it.
Nope.
How many have ever heard of a 5-star hotel? You can see all the stars through this roof. This is an all-star hotel. All right, we got to straddle Grand Canyon here, so be careful. And then we're going to stop and see the two more things.
That's three.
Have you ever done something dumb because you were with a friend who was dumb? You wouldn't have done it by yourself. But if you get dumb and put them together, there's no telling what they're going to do. It'll blow your mind. The Bible says, a companion of fools shall be destroyed. You're better off with no friends than stupid friends. Right? Better off lonely.
I believe that.
All right, I need you all to park beside me up here. You know you voted for the real tour, but we're going to vote again on this one, okay?
Yeah, real one.
When you travel out west, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, you'll see features in the landscape called a mesa. There's even a city called Mesa, Arizona. How many have ever heard of Mesa, Arizona? A mesa is a tall column of dirt with rock on top. If it's smaller, they call it a butte. There's a city called Butte, Montana, okay? If it's even smaller, they call it a spire. Now, they're going to tell you in school, mesas and buttes and spires take millions of years to form. That is what we call baloney. Every time it rains around here, we get thousands and thousands of little miniature mesas and buttes and spires. We're going to drive through the canyon. I want you to look on the left and see who can spot some mesas and buttes and spires. Hop in, let's go, come on, let's go. He decided to dig in and hang on and follow the light. And now it's a little sassafras tree. They dig up the roots and make sassafras tea. Have you ever heard of root beer? Root beer? Sassafras. Well, but I need to warn you, tea is very dangerous. There was an Indian one time that drank 4 gallons of iced tea, and that night he drowned in his teepee. So be careful with that, okay? Now, if you walk up here about 10 feet, I'll show you my favorite tree at Dinosaur Adventureland. Right this way. They go toward the light. A tree with no brain is smart enough to know, send the branch where it'll do some good, right? If only people could be that smart. I can understand a 3-year-old playing with a ball for a while. I don't understand a bunch of 30-year-olds paying money to watch a bunch of 30-year-olds play with a ball. Same ball. They can all afford to go buy their own. Nope, got to fight over that one. One guy took his blonde girlfriend to her first ever football game. She'd never been to one. After the game, he said, "Honey, how'd you like the game?" She said, "Well, I like the big muscles, but I don't understand the 25 cents. He said, What are you talking about?" She said, "Well, you know, to start the game, they flipped a coin. And then for the next hour, they're all screaming, 'Get the quarterback, get the quarterback.'" It's only 25 cents. I mean, come on. All right, let's go. Very difficult childhood. He couldn't figure out which way to go for a while. But he finally learned. You know, if I follow the light, I can straighten my life out. Takes some people a long time to learn that. A lot of people say, "Brother Hovind, can I please carve my name on that tree? Because that's my life right there." Now, these two young fellas here do not have it figured out yet. I tell them every time I come, "Follow the light, you morons." Teenagers, they never listen.
Amen.
Mark Twain said when kids are born, you should put them in a barrel with a hole so they can breathe. And when they turn 13, plug the hole. All right, follow me, let's go. Now, these trees teach another great lesson in life. You know, Jesus used a lot of things in nature to teach lessons, like consider the lilies, consider the sparrows, go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. All the bottom branches on the tree are dying and falling off. As trees get taller, they automatically die, the bottom branches die and they fall off. Why? They're not reaching the light anymore. So the tree says, "Hey, that branch is wasting my time, shut it off." Now, the tree doesn't even have a brain, but it's smart enough to shut off branches that don't produce. We should look at our life once in a while and say, what am I spending my time, my energy, or my money on? Is this really producing anything? If it's not, shut it off. Most kids today, if they had $1 for every hour they spent playing video games, they could buy a new truck when they're 14 and a new house when they're 20. Shut it off, kid. This ain't doing you no good. Shut it off. Find something to do that's useful with your life. Okay, now people don't believe me when I tell them this story, but right up here, well, let's just walk up and I'll show you. About a year ago, lightning hit this tree up here. I'll show you what happened when lightning hit the tree.
Come on. Yeah, come on. Julie, let's go. Come on, pay attention.
You don't believe that?
No.
Would you believe a tornado hit the tree and made the painting?
No.
Would you believe a meteor from outer space hit the tree and made the painting? How about an earthquake? A forest fire?
No.
How about a painter?
Yes.
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 Okay. When you see a painting, you know right away there's a painter, right? If you see a building, you ought to be able to figure out there's a builder. Now, I don't know who built it, I don't know where, and I don't care. I know there's a builder, right? Now, if you see a creation, you ought to be able to figure out, you know, there's a creator. Now, which one? Is it Allah, Buddha, Jehovah? That's a different set of arguments. But let's get over the first bump first. There's a God. Later, we can argue which one and how long and all that stuff. But first, there's a God. And we're going to stand before him one day and give an account. He's got a record of every word you've ever said, every thought you ever thunk, and every deed you ever did. How would you like to have that record erased? Deleted. That's what the blood of Jesus Christ does. When I was 16, I prayed, I said, Lord, I'm a sinner. All the angels in heaven said, you can say that again. I said, Lord, I deserve to go to hell. You can say that again too. I said, but Lord, I believe you died for me on that cross. I believe you rose from the dead. I want to receive you as my Savior. Would you please come live in my heart? Something changed that day. I got born again, became one of God's kids. Which can be good or bad. God spanks his kids. He don't spank the neighbor kids. Okay. All right, hop in, let's go. Last one in pays for the gas.